Also, Dean is here with me. He's actually my co-host today here on Techopia Live. So, Dean, I know you are part of this whole ecosystem with regards to just people management in general. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to let you kind of kickstart things off here with the first question to our panel, and I'll let you go.
Great. So thank you. So, we really want to focus a bit on talent and talking about attracting talent to this great city. And so, first question to this group is, what are some of the things that you're seeing, maybe that are barriers or challenges that you're facing or you've seen happening that are really causing that kind of challenge to bring great talent to Ottawa?
Ottawa is a great city and a lot of growth in the local economy. If we look at unemployment numbers released recently, speak to a very strong economy. However, if you look at the talent situation, it's one that we do attract a good amount of talent, but also we lose talent. And so we need to do two things. One is to step up our attraction activities to ensure that Ottawa is top of mind for people who are looking to relocate. Global mobility, we know, is on the increase. People are looking for opportunities around the world and want to find places where they can get good paying jobs, but also good quality of life. And so attracting them is important by making sure that we're creating opportunities to keep them once they choose to come to Ottawa.
Beautiful.
So I would say that attracting talent from outside of Ottawa and outside of the region will be a really important piece of the puzzle in building our diverse workforce in our technology communities. But I think in addition to that, building upon the talent that already exists here in the city. Les Rochon is CEO of Solis Systems currently, formerly CEO of Halogen. But he's an example of the reverse brain drain or brain gain, having come from a number of tech companies south of the border. And he was quoted recently in saying that Ottawa has top quality talent, higher quality than a number of other cities around the world that he's worked in. So I think that there are some strategies that we can put in place in order to continue to develop our talent by working with our post-secondary institutions and academia to develop young talent and their connection into industry as they're graduating. But in addition to that, at mid to senior levels in our tech companies, we are as well in Canada North noticing that there's a need to attract more talent or to grow and develop the talent that already exists. So how, again, can we work with academia to develop strategies on continued learning, as well as on bringing research out of our institutions and into industry. So those, I think, would be a few ways as well.
Perfect.
Yeah, so I think we want to create a hub here, right? Like, this is not just one of the others. Like, I think we want to get back to, Silicon Valley North, which it used to be called. And to do that, like, let's not be too naive. Like, we have to attract people to the city. And I think one of the things that's been really, really important to the way we've tried to do that Shopify is sell the problem we're trying to solve, right? Like I know we might want to lead with Ottawa, but I think most of the people we've attracted is because they're really passionate about solving the problems that we have to solve, right? We have to talk about those more widely. Like, we had a challenge at Shopify where people think we're just a website, right? They don't realize that we've got payments platforms, we have an infrastructure that rivals most of the tech companies on the planet, but we didn't talk about it. So I think internally we've been, I guess, throwing maybe some of our Canadian genes on the floor and putting a bit more of a PR angle and saying, let's go tell the world what we're doing, right? So we're organizing committees of some of the World Tech conferences out there. We're telling a story about actually what's happening behind the scenes and getting people attracted with kind of the actual, the work that's being done here, right? The difficulty of it, the scale of it, and then you can lead with Ottawa, right? Hey, by the way, you get the same salary. You can commute to work by bike, right? Awesome quality of living. So I think it's that package that we have to do, but we have to lead with the first one. I think people don't appreciate what's actually here. So.
Often. So hold on to the mic, because I have another question for you. And we're so excited to have Shopify part of this conversation, because you really are, the gem of our city and of Canada on many, many terms. So it's wonderful that you're here and having this discussion with us, because so many individuals, I'm sure, is wondering, just in comparison, you've been very strategic in how you recruit people. I love the way you talk about your messaging and what you're trying to create within the community for the company itself. But maybe you could share with us how in just in relative terms, with regards to the amount of people that's local, that currently work with Shopify here in Ottawa, and maybe from outside talent that you bring. I mean, now you're in Toronto as well, of course. Can you explain to us a little bit from that perspective?
I think what we try to do is, like, Canada does have a really good base, like it was Silicon Valley of the North, and what we found is we found in each city we've been in, like Ottawa was the foundation of the internet, right? So a lot of telecommunication, a lot of protocol work, a lot of operating system work was done here. So we've kind of built a lot of our Ottawa team around that existing talent that was still here that built world-class systems. And we did the same thing, right? In Montreal, really good payments, really good design. Toronto, really good marketing. Waterloo, the same. And we've built on those foundations. And I think number one for us is actually investing in the people that were already there, right? In terms of their growth, and realizing that if people grow at least as quickly or quicker than the company, then you'll be successful. But the second part is we do have to attract, right? Again, a hub is because there's some spokes leading to it, and people want to take that path. So I think it's the combination of doing those two things really well that I think matters a lot. And I think we've probably, we've taken a lot of bets on people's potential more in their experience. But because we think the context of them knowing a lot actually helped them grow. So I think it's a combination of doing that. We don't go out and necessarily try to find someone with the exact experience, and we try and balance that with people's potential. But on the flip side, we're attracting around 30% of new hires to Ottawa, right?
Wow.
Which I think is great for these are people who are going to build the next companies as well. So probably I think we're taking the whole package approach, right?
I like that, and I really love the fact that you're focusing on what the potential of that city already is, or already was, or even just
and people
the
forget it too. Even
it's
when
wonderful that you brought
we're
that up.
Scaling our Montreal
makes
office,
complete sense,
right? And even in Montreal, we're like, hey, here's what Montreal's really good at. We recognize that, right? And we know there's existing companies doing this. So payments, infrastructure was big, some finance, and design, the arts, right? The Cirque du Soleil is a Quebec thing. So we found that some of our best artists, some of our best designers are in Montreal. So we kind of build around that foundation, and then at least that's something strong to scale on, right?
Oh, I love that, and I think it's a wonderful approach. I think more companies should engage in that aspect, because that is something that is really just the foundation of any city, so to speak. That's wonderful. Jamie, I have a question for you a little bit. Canada North is growing tremendously. There's so much just expansion taking place. So talent, I know it's often you hear maybe there's a concern with regards to talent, but you also have this community. How important has it been for you to drive the community aspect around Canada? Because it doesn't seem as far as it used to be. It used to be a different country if you were downtown, but it's just not at the moment. So how have you embraced that?
I'm enjoying getting to know the companies that exist here, and I think to your point, really getting to know and continuing to share in the story of the legacy that is within Canada North. So now today we're over 580 tech companies, 21,000 knowledge-based workers within the park, but that core has been developed over 30 to 35 years. We have, Newbridge Networks, which was subsequently acquired by Alcatel and now Nokia, Mitel and Nortel, and a number of companies that kind of created our history and our legacy here. And further to your point, I think leveraging the expertise that exists here and pairing it with future potential companies that are showing promise, future potential talent that are showing promise, and really creating a cohesive community where mentorship and championing of that potential from our legacy executives was something that I'm super passionate about and looking forward to importing into here.
Beautiful. I'm going to pass the mic over to Dean there. Dean, I'll let you take over here. Maybe you have a couple questions for even Mr. Shopify himself or higher immigrants.
Well, I think one thing I'll take the cue from Jean-Michel was if we think about things on the positive, all of you in your interactions with the organizations that you're interacting with or your own organization see some great things that you're doing to create a full and wonderful experience for the employees. Maybe we'll start with that and ask, what are some of the best practices that you're seeing that are really causing that exceptional experience to be had by the people who have come to join the organizations here?
Our work is supporting employers build their capacity to attract and integrate internationally trained immigrants into the labor market. And some of the things we are seeing as organizations begin to really look at the whole issue around diversity and innovation and productivity, and understanding that just having a diverse workforce isn't enough. It's about how you manage that workforce. That is what the magic is. And so how do you do this? Is by creating inclusive workplaces. And so this starts from when you even begin to look at recruiting, where you find talent, making sure that your recruitment strategies is such that it's inclusive and it's wide enough that you can attract the wide variety of talent you're looking for. And most businesses are looking to meet their business interest. And so wherever they find good talent is what they're looking for. And immigrants are part of the mix. Immigration is part of the story of this country. And so making sure that when you bring people in from other parts of the world into your workplace, that the environment in which they work is one that is inclusive, one that respects and values the skills and knowledge that they bring are very important. So we're seeing an uptake for improving cultural competency and understanding of people in workplaces so that they can effectively manage teams. So this is beyond just HR being knowledgeable about cultural competency and being able to troubleshoot issues. This is about managers. This is about people improving their cultural competencies. We also look at ways people hire. People are going the extra mile of experimenting different ways. One of the organizations that we work with is Shopify. And the Android Bootcamp is one example of a program they did trying to find people with backgrounds in using Android within their competency skills. And they went out and experimented, providing in the process training for individuals as well, and using that as a recruitment. So people are thinking outside the box. They are looking at how do we address issues around unconscious bias that might get in the way of a recruitment manager picking up a resume from somebody who comes from a part of the world that you're not familiar with the names and has an ethnic sounding names and can't pronounce the name, for example. Instead of putting that in the trash bin, as really focusing on what are the core competencies this individual brings to the organization, and going beyond those types of biases that we all have unconscious biases, but we need to be aware what these biases are in order to be able to mitigate how they get in the way of how we work. So we see a lot of traction from employers looking at ways to increase their reach to finding that talent they have, putting in place onboarding programs to support people succeed in the workplaces, and also looking at the whole range of talent management. How do we ensure that we're able to leverage these individuals? Looking at the knowledge and experience and connections and networks they bring from other parts of the world. Most organizations do business with other parts of the world. How do you tap into those networks to be able to grow your business? How do you tap into their experiences to be able to customize your products for the market? So if you look at the population of Canada, it's diverse. It's becoming more diverse by the day. So your customer and consumer interest and taste are as diverse as the population. So you want to make sure that you have that market intelligence to make sure that that is fed into the kind of products and services that you deliver. And organizations are beginning to realize that one of the best ways to do this is to have a diverse workforce, make it inclusive, and find creative ways to tap into all those experiences and knowledge that these individuals bring into the workplace.
Beautiful, fantastic. Do you have anything to add to that, Jamie and Jean-Michel?
I think you make a great point in terms of diversity and inclusion in the workforce, and that first and foremost starts with bringing in people from varying origins and genders and backgrounds. But in addition to that, I think as we are building our tech companies, we need to look at kind of bringing tech into the mainstream, as Shopify, is a shining example of, and really welcoming people from outside of the technology industry into our companies. They have a diverse amount of experience coming from varying industry, whether it's healthcare backgrounds or education backgrounds or even hospitality and tourism backgrounds. They're able to offer experiences and knowledge that are true tech.
Yeah.
Tried and true tech might not already have an exposure to. And so while it's extremely important that we continue to develop STEM and STEM initiatives and design and engineering talent, at the same time I think we need to lend further exposure into the mainstream for individuals that are non-tech to look at tech as an accessible industry to join.
Love it. Yes.
Yeah, so I think the question about the experience, one of the reasons I think that was important for Shopify to be downtown was just looking at who are we going to be hiring, right? Like what demographics, what age groups, what kind of skills we need, and we kind of, that's part of the experience we want to build in terms of attracting people. And so being close to universities, being able to walk to them, be able to take the bus, be able to have kind of almost a location where, again, the families can thrive and we have access to being a hub, I think is one of the experiences we wanted to build and maintain with Shopify. So each one of our cities, we've really made sure that our offices are in the hub and the heart of the cities as well. And it's helped us, I think, attract a wide range of different kind of people as well, right? From the students, right, who they don't have to move anywhere to get to work, they can have that great experience, and we have all these kind of different kind of backgrounds they can kind of all meld and kind of make it downtown. So that's been, companies can have different ones, but that's the one that we kind of as a team thought was really important. And we build everything, like from real estate to where our offices are to the experiences around just, I guess, purposeful decision about how you want people to kind of live and kind of interact with the company.
No, I love it. And I think once again, you as a company have opened up just the approach in general to how to approach the experience. Work is an experience. It is where we spend most of our time. It is the people that we are surrounded with. Many times they say, when I'm working with someone on a project, this is my new partner, or that's my real partner, and then this is my business partner because I spend all the time with them. So it's so important to...
And also, and realize that like 30 years tech was all about, we didn't know if we could make things work, right? So it's like, can we make digital telephony work? Could we make computers work? Can we make, now it's like, how do we make them really great experiences, right? So I think we've gotten our confidence up, that we know how to make things work. We don't know how to make them useful. We don't know how they integrate with ethics. We don't know what we should build, right? So that's where I think if employees see the company paying such close attention to the details of your personal experience in the company, then our hope is that translates into the attention to detail they put to the products they build and the experiences they look for their customers. So it's, in some ways, it's hopefully there's a really good feedback loop, right? Exactly. That it's not just hey, what food you have, but like the strategy and values around that, and they take that same attention to detail to what we actually build as a company.
I love that. Now I want to ask you about the dev degree kind of concept that you're working on a little bit. And we are talking here today, if you're wondering, what KRP, of course, and this broadcast is brought to you by Stratford Managers, and my co-host here is Dean from Stratford Managers, and of course I'm joined here by Henry from Hire Immigrants. I got Jamie from Canada North Business Association, and of course Jean-Michel from Shopify. Explain to us a little bit, we spoke about brain drain or gain for that matter. Can you explain to me a little bit how that ties into your dev degree concept? Yeah,
so the reality right now is we probably have, there's 4 jobs for every 1 graduating student in tech. And that's going to be, if you look at just supply and demand, it's entirely skewed, right? And one of the things we looked at is the entire pipeline for tech is broken, right? The fact we've got a Game Boy, right? It's very gendered. It's very bro-ish. It's people think that it's working in a basement with no light. Like that's what our profession feels like, and it's terrible, right? So one of the things we try to do is we looked at like what kind of skills do people need to really make a contribution to Shopify from a developer's perspective, and we realized that because of a lot of the breakages in the whole pipeline, the fact that computer literacy isn't taught in school really, the fact that universities are very research-based, we're like, what if we could redesign it from scratch, right? Like, what if we took the concept of a co-op and flipped it upside down, right? So what we decided to do is we worked with one university and now with multiple around Canada about saying, what if we redesigned the software degree? Because we know that, by the way, you have to increase it by 400%. Wow. We need more people. and we found some kind of cues that would make it really productive. So they were obviously, universities are very keen because most universities have an experiential learning component, but they don't know what to do. They have no industry partner. They're kind of handcuffed in terms of how they actually make that happen. So our pitch was really, really simple. We want to make the theory and the doing in real time. So what we tried to do is we took most of the computer science courses and pulled them into the first year. Because we realized the universities are spreading 4 years of curriculum, and they're saying you do a bit of math, some languages, and one computer science the first semester, and you do one computer science and physics and chemistry the second, and you play that through, and we're like, but we already know that we're 10 years behind in terms of just having any computer literacy, right? So why don't we just fast forward that? So we actually took most of computer science, and we realized, that some of the other courses are good to have, but let's give you a super boost in that first year.
Yeah.
And you can learn on the job. So you actually practice, right? So you learn data structures. You can actually go and work on Shopify, see it in practice. So we built that in real time. The third year is starting right now. And what we've noticed is our students are about 300% accelerated, right? So a student after about 9 to 12 months in the dev degree can contribute to Shopify as a student who's graduated after 4 years of university, right? So what happens is that feedback loop of actually feeling engaged and confident with your own skills, you get 3 years earlier, right? And that just compounds itself. Our ability, just as an employer, to get that like productivity is really great. And in universities, are looking for partners to kind of experiment with that. So hopefully this is like the start of many other kind of innovations we can do in Canada or around education, because that's going to be a big, something we have to unlock, right, if we want to scale. And it's what we hear from most of the people, the tech companies in Canada, is where do I find talent, right? I've got to hire these high price consultants, right, who don't know my business, they're not really integrated, can you just lend us developers? And I hear that all the time. So that was a small kind of project that we think might have a huge impact on Canada that we're really excited about. So Dev Degree, there's a website called mydevlife.ca where there's a newsletter. We're publishing a lot of articles from the students because we have, our third year is coming up. So we have kind of, we've almost nailed kind of the format, and we're really looking to scale it across Canada now.
Love it. That's so awesome. I love it. Well, I don't know if you just want to add to this, Dave, and just in general, or Dean, with regards to the conversation we had today, what do you feel like has just been fascinating for you with regards to this whole conversation?
Well, I think one of the most fascinating things is you can look at any aspect, and all HR is so close and dear to my heart, but you look at that topic area and you can look at it so innovatively, whether it's from looking at some of the things, Henry, you were talking about, from the practices that we fall back on when we're looking to bring people in, and Jamie, you've talked about some of the really interesting approaches that, because you're collecting information from other people and again, Jean-Michel just talked about that great program. So for me, that is so heartening to hear that we're not just going to work harder at something that's really hard. We're going to turn it on its side. We're going to be innovative in all of the fields that we work in to make this industry thrive to the best it can be. Beautiful. So for me, Carlo, that's an awesome thing to hear about.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time today. Once again, Jean-Michel from Shopify, Jamie from Canada North Business Association. Henry, thank you so much from Hire Immigrants, and of course, Dean from Stratford Managers, my co-host. Thank you very much for those of you that's joined us here today on Techopia. If you haven't done so already, make sure you go and check out each and every single company that's been with us today, or go to techopia.ca. You'll get an update on this conversation as well. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day. Bye.